Hello and welcome everyone. Shirley Allred here today. Welcome to the channel. It's a beautiful day, kind of cloudy. And first and foremost, I would like to thank each and every one of you for tuning in and being a part of this channel. It's really exciting for me, and I hope it's exciting for you. And I hope you find that what I present is valuable to you. And leave comments, subscribe, hit the bell so you know and get notifications when I am recording. And feel free to go to my website, shirleyallred.com. I am currently working on this week updating YouTube channel. I will be adding some other YouTube channels, which will include meditation, and another one will be the Different Dimension Acres. And that is about what I've done out here at the cabin and what I do out at the cabin, like physically. So, and as I repair things and how I put things together and the mindset with that. So anyway, those are just a couple that I'm adding. So today we are going to discuss challenging your mind. Oh my gosh, today I had to challenge my mind. And it's not always easy. It really isn't. And so I woke up this morning and I'm like, oh, I've got this list of things to do. And one of them is the YouTube channel. Well, I, sometimes I get overwhelmed. And I'm sure that's everybody does at times, right? So I have two different channels, one under Shirley Allred and one under Different Dimension Acres, and I don't know how to combine them. Or so anyway, I was looking online and I kind of became irritated. Well, I guess overwhelmed is more the word I'm looking for. And I notice when I become overwhelmed, sometimes I just want to shut down. So I hadn't done my hair yet. I was still in my pajamas. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to challenge my mind today. I know that if I were to do my hair and I was to get dressed, and it would put me in a different mindset. So what I did is I did my hair, I did my face, I put my clothes on, and I came upstairs, and then I'm like, oh, it's too cold outside. And so I found myself making excuses. And then I'm like, you know what? It's time to challenge your mind. It's time to go outside and be in the sun, listen to the birds. I don't know if you can hear the birds, but oh my gosh, they're out here. You know, I could hear the crows and some other birds. I seen a woodpecker this morning. And, you know, it's like, I'm glad I did because it is awesome. I have so much energy now and I feel good. I challenged my mind, and you can challenge your mind too. It's about stepping out of your comfort zone, because there's times when we really just want to stay like in the familiar mode, you know, and it's time to step out of that. And then, you know, the thoughts that kept coming to me was, after the accident, they sent me to a neuropsychologist, and every time I would walk in to sign in, the receptionist is like, "How are you today?" And I'm like, "It's a fabulous day. It's awesome." And after going there for about 6 months, she said, "How can you're always so happy? How come you're always so happy?" And I just looked at her and I said, "You just fake it till you make it, right? That's all we can do." You know, I could stay into that lower energy, that excuse mode that used to keep me stuck in my house and depressed, and it's like that's not what life's about. Life's about learning and living and experiencing and joy. And so I've actually done some really cool things today, as far as what I'm going to be offering on the channels. And haven't figured out how to put my computer and my phone to sync together. That's the issue I'm having. I will figure it out the one way or the other. And when I felt overwhelmed, I noticed that I became fear-based. And it was like, what's this fear about? And it's like, you know, when you try to figure things out, surely on the computer, you know, sometimes you make a bigger problem than you started with. And that came from being hacked on Facebook. And so I was hacked, and then I had to change all my passwords, and I was feeling overwhelmed, and da 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 da. So here's what I did in order to step out of that excuse mode. This is how I challenged my mind. This also works really well with emotions. That's actually what I worked with. Okay. So when I sat there for a minute and I noticed that I was making excuses. So awareness is the first thing. Okay. And then I do know I think a little bit different than most, but that makes me me, right? It's like I tell my neighbors, it's like cheap entertainment, right? It's kind of like free entertainment for them. And I'm kind of excited because they're going to come up this weekend, so I'm excited because I haven't had any visitors this whole winter, and I got snowed in for a couple weeks, and I have to say that was an awesome. It was it was hard. It was very hard, yet it took me inside myself, and I learned so much about myself and how to overcome some things. So I got in touch with my shadow side, or my dark side, or the dark side of the soul. Anyway, so what I did, here's the steps that I took this morning, and take it with a grain of salt. Adjust however you need to adjust it, okay? So I'm sitting there in my jammies, excuse me. I'm sitting there in my jammies, and I'm thinking, I'm making these excuses for myself, and I'm working on the computer, and I'm like, you used you used to make controller boards for IBM, you used to program computers. Why can't you figure this out? So I noticed I was kind of beating myself up, and then I went, whoa, okay, it's time to think of the heart, right? It's time to open my heart up. It's time to stop beating myself up for not knowing something. I haven't been taught, and so why beat myself up, for heck's sakes? It's not worth it. It's not worth the emotions. It's not worth the way your body feels. So that's kind of what I said to myself. And so what I did is, as I sat there, I'm thinking, I thought of my heart, and then I allowed that fear. I mean, my heart was pounding. It was like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. So my heart was pounding, and so I asked for that emotion to expose itself, right? Like, so I seen it. I closed my eyes and I seen it right outside my body here. And I started talking to it. And I talked to it different than I've ever talked to the emotions before. And I kind of got teary-eyed. You might not tell it now, but I did earlier. And maybe why I have so much energy is because I freed that energy, and I welcomed new energy. And so, some of that old negative lower vibration energy left. And so it allowed for new, right? So anyway, I do get off track sometimes, if you haven't noticed. Anyway, so here's this emotion setting out, and it looks different for everybody. And I just feel it as I'm very kinesthetic, and how you can tell that with somebody, I'm just such a teacher sometimes. How you can tell that with somebody is if you, and I will do a YouTube on this as well. Yeah, when somebody's shoulders are sloped and they take deep breaths, that means they're kinesthetic, and they're all visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. Yet my representation system is more to feel things, and then auditory, and then visual. I've had to actually teach myself to be more proficient in the visual, because when you're visual, you retain things. Anyway, enough of that. Anyway, so I just got a sense of it, okay? Some of you will see, some of you will hear things, okay? And so I put my hands on my heart, and, I thanked it. I thanked it because it was trying to protect me. And I thanked it for doing such a beautiful job. And it was so impeccable with the work and the reason it came into my life. And so I thanked it from my heart, and I gave it unconditional love. And in my mind, I opened a door. I noticed a door opening, And like, I kind of seen it like this emotion was in a cage, and it was time to open the door to that cage. And so I told the emotion it's time to release it. It's time to let it go. It was kind of selfish for me. Excuse me. It was kind of selfish for me to hold on to it. Yet I held on to it for, I guess I'm releasing a little bit more. I guess I held on to it because it was familiar. And just like friends we haven't wanted to let go of, or it was time. And so then I started saying, you know what? It's kind of like some of the childhood friends that I had that are still a part of my life. I love them to pieces. Yet we went our separate ways. Does it mean that I don't like them? Does it mean that I don't still love them? Does it mean I don't have wonderful memories? No. It means that I didn't control the situation. I didn't try to hold on and hold them back from succeeding and from living their life of truth and their passion and their path. And am I still in contact with them? Yeah, you better believe I am. And so the question came to me, it was like, why? Or what was the reason? Because if you ask yourself why, it allows your subconscious to open up and you're looking for all these reasons why, right? So if you ask yourself what instead of why, you will allow yourself to go internal and get the answers, right? So I asked myself, what was the difference? What was the difference from this emotion compared to people and other experiences and situations that I've let go of, like, more easily? I mean, I wasn't trying to control the situation, but part of me was really trying to control this by holding on to this emotion. And like I said, it went back to familiar because I felt that it had done me well. And it did. It did in so many ways. It did in so many ways. So I'm so grateful for that. Yet I seen myself opening the door to that cage, and I allowed it, I asked it to be free. That I was no longer going to hold on to it. It was time to allow that emotion to be freed and fly with other energies and to become one with source. And so I turned it over to the universe, and it was really freeing. So I'm kind of surprised the tears came up today because, I think I did it like 2 hours ago. So apparently I needed to still release a little bit more. It's kind of like a grieving process. If you think about it, it's like, this emotion has been with me for so long. It was part of, like, and I guess that's maybe why it was harder to let go of than like friends, and because I've never been one to control my friends and tell them what to do and what to think and all that stuff. I might give them some suggestion and tell them to take it with a grain of salt, but other than that, so I'm a my other personality. So there's my way to do it and there's your way to do it. So not everybody's like that, let me tell you. So it was like part of me that I had to say goodbye to. And it was part of me that I honored on so many levels. It was part of me that I took on at such an early age that I identified with it. And as soon as I set it free, it was like, what in the hell do I do now? How do I don't know what to do. And the word hell stuck out in my mind when I said that, because I'm like, you know what? You were living in hell. And it wasn't in a disrespect to this emotion, because it did its best. It did what I wanted it to do. I'm the one that created it. And the word hell, let's go back to the word hell. When I was a kid growing up, I used to think that earth was hell. And when we died, we went to heaven. And that's been a hard one for me to release and see from a situation, a disassociated situation from that. And it was due to the experiences that I was going through at the time. And it was actually when I was 7 years old. And I actually tried, I sat there on the side of the trailer, and we had a trailer in the backyard, and I sat there with the razor blade trying to kill myself. I slit my wrist because I didn't, it was like I was stuck in this environment and I couldn't get out, right? And and then I called myself a coward because I couldn't follow through with it. The reason I couldn't follow through with it is because I've always known that I was meant to be here, that there was a higher purpose for me to be here, that I am going to accomplish some amazing things. And you know, so it's interesting, all these things that come into your mind. My grandpa was a self-made millionaire, and what came to mind after, you know, all this, I'm just telling you my internal thoughts as I let this go. And my grandpa and I have lived parallel lives. And and he was my idol. You know, we have similarities, yeah, we have differences. And so I wrote those down. I was like, oh, okay. So he was raised wearing hand-me-downs, and he was he was his mother treated him differently than his sisters, and these are the similarities. We both worked for like a company when we, you know, younger, growing up, or, you know, 20s, 30s, and early 30s. And and then at 50, he started building mobile home parks. And that's when I used to go help him. And that's where the construction mindset came in. Anyway, so excuse me, as a little girl, I was this little short, fat little thing. I mean, like at 12, I was 50 pounds. And so digging ditches in the hot sun, shit, it kicked my butt. So I'd find myself laying down going, oh my God, I gotta rest. Oh, I'm too hot. And anyway, heaven forbid if Grandpa found me, right? But I could always hear him coming. So anyway, when I went to school for NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, there was a technique that we did is when you walked in somebody else's shoes, right? And I realized that I used to do that as a little girl. I remember walking behind my grandpa, and I would like walk. I'd step my right foot when he would, and my left foot, and I'd move my body like he did. And you know, I hated spinach as a little girl, but he ate spinach, and I'm like, I'm going to make myself eat this. I don't like it, but I'm going to eat it just like he does, okay? So anyway, I stepped into his shoes, and that's where we had parallel lives up to a certain point. So anyway, my grandpa became a self-made millionaire, and he you know, he gave me $40,000. I think I was like 24, 25. And he sat down and he used to open up to me. And he said, Shirley, it's the American dream to have a house. And I worked my ass off. I worked 7 days a week so that I can make your lives better, okay? So anyway, the differences is, you know, he wasn't very well liked. One of his children, I won't name them, one of his children despised him. They loved him, but they despised him in so many ways. And they weren't very nice to him. And it was because they were given everything on a silver platter. My grandma wasn't allowed to have a cat, but this one child was the golden child and was given everything. And I noticed where money hurt this child, where the other child was more self-sufficient, very closed off, but self-sufficient. And you know, there was alcoholism in my grandparents' children, okay? And anyway, the differences. I can get sidetracked sometimes. I'm trying to make this fast. Anyway, if you've missed anything, just please go back and watch it again. And the difference is Grandpa was not very well liked. He was known as a shrewd businessman, yet not very well liked. And I'm very likable. I mean, I attract people like from all different backgrounds, and I can be in a store and people will open up and tell me their life story, and they're like, I don't know why. I don't know why. I feel so comfortable. And what was the other thing? Oh, he was atheist, and and to me, I was raised Jehovah's Witness, and then I went to a lot of different religions, just searching, and then I don't want to say nothing, yet then I kind of maybe went off my path a little bit, and I had to figure things out, and I've been working on myself since 29 years old. God, that's a long time, for heck's sakes. Anyway, but I'm making it. And anyway, it's interesting because, we do have differences. And what I realized too is, Grandpa, everybody said he was an asshole. And but I felt this sadness within him. God, this is an emotional one, isn't it? I felt this sadness within him. And so I attracted people like that into my life. I felt, they were assholes. They were literally assholes. Do I dislike them? Am I judging them? No, because they weren't assholes to everyone, but they were assholes to me because that was my belief. That was my mirror. And to be honest with you, I allowed them to be assholes to me. I gave up myself to be accepted, just like I gave up myself in so many ways to be accepted by some family members, because I've always been different and I never felt like I fit in. Anyway, I felt, so be aware of what comes into your mind, what becomes... Maybe I'll call this a little chit-chat moment. Just because I've brought up so many different things. I was going to name it Challenging Your Mind. Maybe I'll integrate both of those in there somehow. I don't know, somehow. Anyway, with that being said, I hope this long story made sense to you. Maybe you can relate on some avenues. Maybe you can challenge your mind today or tomorrow and really realize that you are in control. So when you find yourself like not wanting to get dressed, or you're lower energy, or you're just not feeling it and you're making excuses for the day, step into your heart, put your hands on your heart and close your eyes and take a couple deep breaths. And then just notice what the sensations you feel within your body. And when you feel that within your body, start talking to it. First, allow it to come out here, so it's not attached to you anymore. It's in you're looking at it like a third perception, like an outsider. So you're not holding it in and all those emotions. Anyway, you guys have a great day. Thanks for listening to me. And hey, thanks for helping me and walking with me as I released the last little part of this today. Thank you for being a part of my growing. I hope this helped. I hope you found this valuable. Namaste, everyone. Take care.